I can remember my first holiday in 1958. I was 2 years old. I went to Anglesey with my mum, dad and two friends of theirs. I think we stayed in Ross Niger.
I left school when I was 14. I must admit I hated it. But I had a chap come, to see about what you would like to do. And it was Mr. Holloway at the bookbinding place down the road, Sheraton Hughes bookbinding. And he said, do you like doing anything with your hands or anything? I said, certainly do, but I says, not my head. Anyway, we had a little chat about that, and he said, when are you leaving school? And it was such a day as Thursday. He said, you come to see me on Monday and you've got the job. So I thought, great. So I wasn't with the printing. It was, it was like making the books. They've got great big machines feeding them through, and they go ba-dum, ba-dum, and that was little A, B, C. On some of the older ones, you still see it, collating them.
I'll tell you about my first four-wheel vehicle. It was a van, and I paid £5 for it. It was ready for the scrapyard, and it had done 130,000 miles, and it was absolutely falling apart. And in those days, Ford engines only lasted about 25,000 miles.
My best Christmas was when I had a Scalextric. That was about 1965. I enjoyed seeing all the cars racing on the track.
And then I was getting on for 21. So it was when I met my husband at Altrincham Ice Rink with my little skirt and stuff on, like you do. And he came from Bailey, and the week after, he went and brought his brother to see if I was all right, So anyway, we had a laugh about it, and Jeff was there, and we had a bit of skating. But after that, we went different places. And of course, we got married in 64.
Well, the vivid memory I have was Eric, who you all know, Auntie Marjorie, who was Eric's mother, did a party for me, a Christmas party. And he invited me to Ashton-under-Pants, Underline, to this party. I was only about 5, and I think Eric was about the same age as me. And there's a round table like that, nothing to do with King Arthur. And I'm sat there like that, near the door. Auntie Marjorie comes in with a big blancmange, trips up, and the blancmange ends on my head. And Eric couldn't stop laughing. And I think he still laughs when I tell him. Right. So that's a memory of Christmas. What else do you want to know?
I bought my first car in 1959 when I was 23. I just passed my test, and it was a lovely summer, and I just got a girlfriend, and we wanted to go off somewhere. And I just started a new job too at the university. I bought it. I answered an evening news advert, which was for a place in Salford, and it turned out to be a lock-up garage, and the guy already had the engine running. And alarm bells should have sounded actually, because it looked great actually. It was a green Series E Morris, 1938, and it had leather seats, and it looked a bit rough in places, but in those days I thought I could mend everything. I could do everything, so drove it home, and there was a bit of an exhaust leak. In fact, I had to open all the windows going home.
And it was on about the 5th engine, which hadn't been in very long. And we had an old boat that we thought we could use the engine in. So I bought the van for £5. When I got it home, I had a good look at it, and I thought, well, with a bit of bodging up and sticking it all back together again. I thought I could make it a go of it, because in those days I only had a motorbike. So I spent about 3 months patching it all together with patches, and we didn't have fiberglass in those days. They were all patches of metal stuck on with self-tapping screws. And I finally got it going, and I kept it for 7 years. I did another 70,000 miles in it with a few engine changes, and when I finally got rid of it, I bought another van. I pulled it apart on the drive, I put all the bits in the back, took it to the scrapyard, and I got £7.15 for it, which I'd only paid £5 7 years ago. So I thought it was a good deal. It took us all around the country. We went down to Cornwall, towing a homemade caravan. I used to like repairing things, so you know, I made lots of things myself. And you know, we had a good life with it, really. We used to sleep in the back of it. We had a dog as well, my wife and dog in the back of this van. And you know, you can't do that nowadays.
Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, my full wage in my hand was £2.10 for the week.
Motorbike, well, funny enough, you're talking about cars and vans. I had a 1934, 1937 Ford 8 van, and I used to get my speedway bike in the back to have rides at Bellevue in the juniors, you see. And I used to have this car, and I used to drive like that, because I always seem to drive like that. And it was a belting car, actually. The thing, it was a winding window like that, and when that went, I had to put a piece of string around it to pull it up to shut it, you see. But the speedway bike, when I got to Bellevue, it wouldn't go. After getting it there and messing about for hours and hours and hours, and I thought, what's up with the bike? I'd not put any juice in, had I?
And the afternoon, with my girlfriend, who's now my wife actually, we went off to see a friend in Woodford. And she was another nurse, my wife was a nurse. And on the way there, we got a lot of fumes. I think Phyllis got her head out of the window, but I was stuck looking through the windscreen. And the first thing that happened when I got out was I was violently sick in their toilet, which wasn't very pleasant because the water was off.
Yes, I'm going to tell you about the army. I remember when I was 18 years of age, all my friends was expecting this letter to come. And eventually it came, the brown envelope. I thought, I wonder what's in here really. And I undid it and it just said, report to Preston Barracks, 9 a.m. on the Monday morning. I thought, God. Then there's a knock on the door, about 2 minutes after. My pal stood there and he said, I've got one of these. I said, so have I. So that was last, I didn't see him for 2 years after that, because he went off somewhere. I went down to Italy, which I enjoyed very much. Got demobbed, came back home again and went back to my job. And that's a short story about my army career. Unless you want me what happened in the army, do you want all that? I don't know what you do or not. Maybe you do. I'll tell you anyway. So I was in Preston Barracks and I arrived there. And this voice from across this prayer ground shouted my name. Well, it wasn't my name really. It's his name, calling me.
So it wouldn't run. And then when I did get it going, weeks later, I ended up with concussion. Because I'm going around like that, the bike conks out and another bloke hits me up the back, right into the fence, and I had concussion. So that was really nice. Is there anything else funny you'd like to...
The next time I came to start it the next weekend, the weather had suddenly turned cold and there was no way it would start on the starter. So I got the starting handle out and turned the engine, and there was absolutely no compression at all. It was tapped out. So we decided to sell it and cut our losses. I paid £35 for it, and I advertised it again in the evening news, and a guy in Fallowfield was the only man who phoned me. And we took it round in the dark. We thought that was a pretty wise thing to do. And he looked at it and said, "Oh yes, nice." He said it was very nice. And he said, "I used to have driving school and we had 7 of these." He says, "Funny thing, they always used to go, the chassis used to go just behind in front of the rear wheel." And he put his hand under it and you could see him feeling about for the chassis, and it wasn't actually there. So we took his money and run, which was 15 quid, so I lost quite a lot on it. And one of my uncles took pity on me and gave me his Ford 10, which was a year older, but it lasted me for another 6 years.
"You there," said, "with the Busby." So I stood there and I thought, "I'm going to Busby." And nobody's there. But quite a few blokes there, and they're all saying, "Is that me?" I said, "No." "Me, sir?" "No." "Me?" "No." And I thought, well, it's not me, but I'll just say that. So I said, "Me?" He said, "Yes." "Go and get an haircut." I thought, I've just had an haircut, a good haircut. Anyway, I had to go to the barber's. All over. Nearly bald when I come out. Great job.
White Christmas? Have I been on that long? I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know. That was Bing Crosby's style, that, you know. But you're all too young to remember Bing, aren't you?
Anyway, that went on. So we were on the playground for a few weeks, up and down the playground. And I was on the playground one day. I was just near the edge of the playground. An officer came up to me and said, "You Flowers?" I said, "Yes, sir. Phone call for you." I thought, phone call? So I went into the office, upstairs, and all these officers sat there. I said, "Phone call." I picked the phone up. So, "Hello?" And it was my mate, Jeff Davis, who was got the call the same day as me. He said, "Where are you?" He said, "It's bloody awful, the army, isn't it?" Oh, I said, "Yeah, I'm really enjoying it." And he's pulling it to pieces, and I've got all these officers looking at me, so to make it look good.
I can remember my first job was delivering beer, a little tiny wagon like that. I was about, I think I was, well, not old enough to drive, put it that 18, 19 maybe, and my wage was £5.50 a week. And I used to drive this little thing and deliver it to all the posh places up in Altrincham and all that, delivering all the, the posh drinks, you know, the spirits and stuff like that. And when I got back to the depot, I thought, oh, they're not paying me enough here. So there was loads of Schweppes tonic water things that you go shh like that, and it comes out the end, shh, empty ones. So I found out if I went to Salford, I could get 2 and 6 a bottle for it. So I did that about 5 times and made a few quid because they wouldn't pay me the proper wages. I didn't consider it stealing. There's no policeman in, is there?
And the job I had was a TV engineer, learning, an apprentice. And eventually I went back to the company I started at. And I worked there for many, many years. Then a pal of mine opened his own shop. I said, "Do you fancy working for me?" So I said, "Yeah." So I went working for him. So that was the end. And really and truly, I did that for years and years and years. I had a shop in Ardick Green, a shop on Ashton Hall Road, TV radios and all that kind of stuff, and TV aerials. Aerials are a bit frightening on the roof when it's winter, but I didn't do much of that. I kept falling off. So anyway, I eventually started my own business many years after electrical business. I had an electrical contracting business. Then I went into lighting and television, would you believe? And I did that for about near 30 years, I think it was, altogether, off and on. And then I joined the club in 1965. That was a good club, that. It was called Altrincham Cine Club then. Yeah, and it changed its name to Altrincham Video Society, which is, I'm still a member there now. Well, in fact, I'm the chairman for the last 6 years. And I wish I could get somebody to do this chairman's job, but nobody wants to seem to do it, so there you are. So that's the end of my day's speech. That'll do for you? Wonderful, thank you very much.
And 2 children, all of them taller than me. But no, I've had a happy time. Okay?